हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज के वीडियो में हम देखने वाले हैं एनसीईआरटी पॉलिटी क्लास 7, जिसमें आज हम देखेंगे यूनिट 3 जो कि है जेंडर। तो इसमें हमारा है पहले चैप्टर 4 ग्रोइंग अप एज बॉयज़ एंड गर्ल्स। तो शुरू करते हैं हमारा आज का चैप्टर। Being a boy or a girl is an important part of one's identity. The society we grow up in teaches us what kind of behavior is acceptable for girls and boys, what boys and girls can or cannot do. We often grow up thinking that these things are exactly the same everywhere. But do all societies look at boys and girls in the same way? We will try and answer this question in this chapter. We will also look at how the different roles assigned to boys and girls prepare them for their future roles as men and women. We will learn that most societies value men and women differently. The roles women play and the work they do are usually valued less than the roles men play and the work they do. This chapter will examine how inequalities between men and women emerge in the area of work. Growing up in Samoa in the 1920s. The Samoan Islands are part of a large group of small islands in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean. In the 1920s, according to research reports on Samoan society, children did not go to school. They learned many things such as how to take care of children or do household work from older children and from adults. Fishing was a very important activity on the island. Young people therefore learned to undertake long fishing expeditions, but they learned these things at different points in their childhood. As soon as babies could walk, their mothers or other adults no longer looked after them. Older children, often as young as 5 years old, took over this responsibility. Both boys and girls looked after their younger siblings. But by the time a boy was about 9 years old, he joined the older boys in learning outdoor jobs like fishing and planting coconuts. Girls had to continue looking after small children or do errands for adults till they were teenagers. But once they became teenagers, they had much more freedom. After the age of 14 or so, girls also went on fishing trips, worked in the plantations, learned how to weave baskets. Cooking was done in special cooking houses, where boys were supposed to do most of the work while girls helped with the preparations. Growing up male in Madhya Pradesh in the 1960s. The following is adapted from an account of experiences of being in a small town in Madhya Pradesh in the 1960s. From class 6 onwards, boys and girls went to separate schools. The girls' school was designed very differently from the boys' schools. They had a central courtyard where they played in total seclusion and safety from the outside world. The boys' school had no such courtyard, and our playground was just a big space attached to the school. Every evening, once school was over, the boys watched as hundreds of schoolgirls crowded the narrow streets. As these girls walked on the streets, they looked so purposeful. This was unlike the boys who used the streets as a place to stand around idling, to play, to try out tricks with their bicycles. For the girls, the street was simply a place to get straight home. The girls always went in groups, perhaps because they also carried fears of being teased or attacked. After reading the two examples above, we realize that there are many different ways of growing up. Often we think that there is only one way in which children grow up. This is because we are most familiar with our own experiences. If we talk to elders in our family, we will see that their childhoods were probably very different from ours. We also realize that societies make clear distinctions between boys and girls. This begins from a very young age. We are, for example, given different toys to play with. Boys are usually given cars to play with and girls dolls. Both toys can be a lot of fun to play with, while girls then given dolls and boys cars. Toys become a way of telling children that they will have different futures when they become men and women. If we think about it, this difference is created in the smallest and most everyday things. How girls must dress, what games boys should play, how girls need to talk softly or boys need to be tough. All these are ways of telling children that they have specific roles to play when they grow up to be men and women. Later in life, this affects the subjects we can study or the careers we can choose. In most societies, including our own, the roles men and women play or the work they do are not valued equally. Men and women do not have the same status. Let us look at how this difference exists in the work done by men and women. My mother does not work. Ma, where are go? Ma, we are going on a school excursion. Rosie ma'am needs volunteers. Can't you take a holiday from office and volunteer? Hermes' mother always comes for excursions because she does not work. Sonali, how can you say that? You know that Jasprit auntie is up at 5 a.m. every day doing all the housework. Yes, but that's not real work, it's just housework. Oh, that's what you think, do you? Let's go over to their house and ask Jasprit what she thinks. At the Singh's house, her son Sonali thinks that your wife is not a working person. But is not that correct, auntie? My mother is a housewife, she does not work. Haha. Then Jasprit, why don't you just relax and let them manage everything for a change? Great idea. Okay, I will go on strike tomorrow. What fun. We'll take care of everything tomorrow with Papa. Next morning, 7:30 a.m. Oh God, look at the time. Where's my breakfast? Why aren't the children ready? How would I know? I am on strike, remember? Besides, Mangla has also taken leave today. Oh, that's the school bus. I will have to drop them in the car. Hurry and ask Hermit to switch on the pump. But what about the kids' lunch boxes? Oh no, forget about that. I'll give you some money, just buy something from the canteen today. Ma already gave us money for that. Evening 6 p.m. I am exhausted. How about some tea? Oh, I forgot. Your strike. I will make some myself. The house looks like it was hit by a hurricane. Did you expect it to remain in exactly the same condition in which you left it this morning, dear? Hermit, where on earth are the tea leaves? I wonder if they still believe I don't work. And now I have to remind them that Chachaji and Chachiji are coming for dinner. Valuing housework. Hermit's family did not think that the work Jasprit did within the house was real work. This feeling is not unique to their families. Across the world, the main responsibility for housework and caregiving tasks like looking after the family, especially children, the elderly, and sick members lie with women. Yet, as we have seen, the work that women do within the home is not recognized as work. It is also assumed that this is something that comes naturally to women. It therefore does not have to be paid for. And society devalues this work. Lives of domestic workers. In the story above, Hermit's mother was not the only one who did the housework. A lot of the work was done by Mangla, the domestic helper. Many homes, particularly in towns and cities, employ domestic workers. They do a lot of work sweeping and cleaning, washing clothes and dishes, cooking, looking after young children or the elderly. Most domestic workers are women. Sometimes even young boys or girls are employed to do this work. Wages are low as domestic worker does not have much value. A domestic worker's day can begin as early as 5 in the morning and end as late as 12 at night. Despite the hard work they do, their employers often do not show them much respect. This is what Melanie, a domestic worker, had to say about her experience of working in Delhi. My first job was with a rich family that lived in a three-storied house. The Mem Sahib was very strange as she would shout to get any work done. My work was in the kitchen. There were two other girls who did the cleaning. Our day would begin at 5 o'clock. For breakfast, we would get a cup of tea and two dry rotis. We could never get a third roti. In the evening, when I cooked the food, the two other girls would beg me to give them an extra roti. I would secretly give it to them and make an extra one for myself. We were so hungry after working through the day. We could not wear chappals in the house. In the winter, our feet would swell up with the cold. I used to feel scared of the Mem Sahab but also felt angry and humiliated. Did we not work all day? Did we not deserve to be treated with some respect? In fact, what we commonly term as housework actually involves many different tasks. A number of these tasks require heavy physical work. In both rural and urban areas, women and girls have to fetch water. In rural areas, women and girls carry heavy head loads of firewood. Tasks like washing clothes, cleaning, sweeping, and picking up loads require bending, lifting, and carrying. Many chores like cooking involve standing for long hours in front of hot stoves. The work women do is strenuous and physically demanding, words that we normally associate with men. Another aspect of housework and caregiving that we do not recognize it is that it is very time consuming. In fact, we add up the housework and the work women do outside the home. We find that women spend much more time working than men and have much less time to leisure. Below is some data from a special study done by the Central Statistical Organization of India 1998 to 1999. See if you can fill in the blanks. तो इस टेबल में दिया गया है, ये आप देख सकते हैं और यहाँ पर जो क्वेश्चन मार्क है उसको आपको फिलअप करना है. Women's work and equality. As we have seen, the low value attached to women's household and caregiving work is not an individual or family matter. It is part of a larger system of inequality between men and women. It therefore has to be dealt with through actions not just at the level of the individual or the family but also by the government. As we now know, equality is an important principle of our Constitution. The Constitution says that being male or female should not become a reason for discrimination. In reality, inequality between the sexes exists. The government is therefore committed to understanding the reasons for this and taking positive steps to remedy the situation. For example, it recognizes that burden of childcare and housework falls on women and girls. Many women like Sonali's mother in the story and the women in Tamil Nadu and Haryana who were surveyed work both inside and outside the home. This is often referred to as the double burden of the woman's work. This naturally has an impact on whether girls can attend school. It determines whether women can work outside the house and what kind of jobs and careers they can have. The government has set up Anganwadis or childcare centers in several villages in the country. The government has passed laws that make it mandatory for organizations that have more than 30 women employees to provide this facility. The provisions of this helps many women to take up employment outside the home. It also makes it possible for more girls to attend schools. This poster was created by a women's group in Bengal. Can you write an interesting slogan for the poster? तो ये है इस चैप्टर का एक्सरसाइज और इसी के साथ हमारा ये चैप्टर ख़त्म हो गया है। तो क्योंकि ये एक छोटा सा चैप्टर था तो अभी हम देखेंगे चैप्टर नंबर 5 जो कि है वुमेन चेंज द वर्ल्ड। तो शुरू करते हैं हमारा आज का चैप्टर। In the previous chapter, we saw how women's work in the home is not recognized as work. We also read how doing household work and taking care of family members is a full-time job and there are no specific hours at which it begins or ends. In this chapter, we will look at work outside the home and understand how some occupations are seen to be more suitable for men than for women. We will also learn about how women struggle for equality. Getting an education was and still is one way in which new opportunities were created for women. This chapter will also briefly address the different types of efforts made by the women's movement to challenge discrimination in more recent years. Who does what work? तो इसमें तो इमेज ड्रॉ करना है। तो ये एक क्लास का रिजल्ट है। तो हम यहाँ से देखेंगे fewer opportunities and rigid expectations. A lot of the children in Rosie Ma'am class drew women as nurses and men as army officers. The reason they did this is because they feel that outside the home too, women are good at only certain jobs. For example, many people believe that women make better nurses because they are more patient and gentle. This is linked to women's role within the family. Similarly, it is believed that science requires a technical mind and girls and women are not capable of dealing with technical things. Because so many people believe in these stereotypes, many girls do not get the same support that the boys do to study and train to become doctors and engineers. In most families, once girls finish school, they are encouraged by their families to see marriage as their main aim in life. Breaking stereotypes. Engine drivers are men, but 27-year-old Lakshmi Lakra from a poor travel family in Jharkhand has begun to change things. She is the first woman engine driver for Northern Railways. Lakshmi's parents are not literate, but they struggled and overcame many hardships to make sure their children got an education. Lakshmi studied in a government school. When in school, Lakshmi helped with the housework and did odd jobs. She studied hard and did well and then went to get a diploma in electronics. She then took the railway board exam and passed it on her first attempt. Lakshmi says, I love challenges and the moment somebody says it is not for girls, I make sure I go ahead and do it. Lakshmi had to do this several times in her life. When she wanted to take electronics, when she rode motorcycles at the Polytechnic, and when she decided to become an engine driver. Her philosophy is simple. As long as I am having fun without harming anyone, as long as I am doing well and helping my parents, why should I not lead a lifestyle of my choice? It is important to understand that we live in a society in which all children face pressures from the world around them. Sometimes these come in the form of demands from adults. At other times, they can just be because of unfair teasing by our own friends. Boys are pressurized to think about getting a job that will pay a good salary. They are also teased and bullied if they do not behave like other boys. You may remember that in your class 6 book you read about how boys at an early age are encouraged not to cry in front of others. Xavier was happy with the results of his class 10 board exams. Though his marks in science and maths were not high, he had done well in his favorite subjects, history and languages. When his parents saw his report card, however, they did not look pleased at all. My goodness, Xavier, you have managed only 65% in maths. Your marks in physics are low too. I know, Mama, but it's okay because I don't want to take maths or science. I want to study history. Why do you want to take history? Think about your future. You have to get a good job. History will not help. It has no scope. But I don't like maths or science. Be sensible, son. Take maths and you can study computers side by side. The job market for computers is very good. Learning for change. Going to school is an extremely important part of your life. As more and more children enter school every year, we begin to think that it is normal for all children to go to school. Today, it is difficult for us to imagine that school and learning could be seen as out of bounds or not appropriate for some children. But in the past, the skill of reading and writing was known to only a few. Most children learned the work that families or elders did. For girls, the situation was worse. In communities that taught sons to read and write, daughters were not allowed to learn the alphabet. Even in families where skills like pottery, weaving, and craft were taught, the contribution of daughters and women was only seen as supportive. For example, in the pottery trade, women collected the mud and prepared the earth for the pots. But since they did not operate the wheel, they were not seen as potters. In the 19th century, many new ideas about education and learning emerged. Schools became more common, and communities that had never learned reading and writing started sending their children to school. But there was a lot of opposition of educating girls even then. Yet many women and men made efforts to open schools for girls. Women struggled to learn to read and write. Ramabai, soon above with her daughter, championed the cause of women's education. She never went to school but learned to read and write from her parents. She was given the title Pandita because she could read and write Sanskrit, a remarkable achievement as women then were not allowed such knowledge. She went on to set up a mission in Khedgaon near Pune in 1898, where widows and poor women were encouraged not only to become literate but to be independent. They were taught a variety of skills from carpentry to running a printing press, skills that are not usually taught to girls even today. The printing press can be seen in the picture on the top left corner. Ramabai's mission is still active today. Let us read about the experience of Rasundari Devi, who was born in West Bengal some 200 years ago. At the age of 60, she wrote her autobiography in Bangla. Her book titled Amar Jivan is the first known autobiography written by an Indian woman. Rasundari Devi was a housewife from a rich landlord's family. At that time, it was believed that if a woman learned to read and write, she would bring bad luck to her husband and become a widow. Despite this, she taught herself how to read and write in secret well after her marriage. Learning to read and write led some women to question the situation of women in society. They wrote stories, letters, and autobiographies describing their own experiences of inequality. In their writings, they also imagine new ways of thinking and living for both men and women. I would start working at dawn and I would still be at it until well beyond midnight. I had no rest in between. I was only 14 years old at the time I came to nurture a great longing. I would learn to read and I would read a religious manuscript. I was unlucky in those days. Women were not educated. Later, I began to resent my own thoughts. What is wrong with me? Women do not read. How will I do it? Then I had a dream. I was reading the manuscript of Chaitanya Bhagavad, The Life of a Saint. Later in the day, as I sat cooking in the kitchen, I heard my husband say to my eldest son, Bipin, I have left my Chaitanya Bhagavad here. Where I asked for it, bring it in. He left the book there and went away. When the book had been taken inside, I secretly looked out a page and hid it carefully. I was a job hiding it. It was a job hiding it, for nobody must find it in my hands. My eldest son was practicing his alphabets at the time. I had one of them as well. At times I went over that, trying to match letters from that page with the letters that I remembered. I also tried to match the words with those that I would hear in the course of my days. With tremendous care and effort, and over a long period of time, I learned how to read. After learning the alphabet, Rajsundari Devi was able to read the Chaitanya Bhagavad. Through her own writing, she also gave the world an opportunity to read about women's lives in those days. Rajsundari Devi wrote about her everyday life experiences in detail. There were days when she did not have a moment's rest, no time even to sit down and eat. Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain and her dreams about Ladyland. Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain was born into a rich family who owned a lot of land. Though she knew how to read and write Urdu, she was stopped from learning Bangla and English. In those days, English was seen as a language that would expose girls to new ideas which people thought were not correct for them. Therefore, it was mostly boys who were taught English. Rokeya learned to read and write Bangla and English with the support of her elder brother and an elder sister. She went on to become a writer. She wrote a remarkable story titled Sultana's Dream in 1905 to practice her English skills when she was merely 25 years old. This story imagined a woman called Sultana who reaches a place called Ladyland. Ladyland is a place where women had the freedom to study, work, and create inventions like controlling rain from the clouds and flying air cars. In this Ladyland, the men had been sent into seclusion, their aggressive guns and other weapons of war defeated by the brain power of women. As Sultana travels in Ladyland with Sister Sarah, she awakes to realize that she was only dreaming. As you can see, Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain was dreaming of women flying planes and cars even before girls were being allowed to go to school. This was the way in which education and learning had changed Rokeya's own life. Rokeya did not stop at getting education just for herself. Her education gave her the power not only to dream and write, but also to do more, to help other girls go to school and to build their own dreams. In 1910, she started a school for girls in Kolkata, and to this day, the school is still functioning. Unlike Rasundari Devi and Rokeya Hossain, who were not allowed to learn to read and write, large number of girls attend school in India today. Despite this, there continue to be many girls who leave school for reasons of poverty, inadequate schooling facilities, and discrimination. Providing equal schooling facilities to children from all communities and class backgrounds, and particularly girls, continues to be a challenge in India. Schooling and education today. Today, both boys and girls attend school in large numbers. Yet, as we will see, there still remains differences between the education of boys and girls. India has a census every 10 years, which counts the whole population of the country. It also gathers detailed information about the people living in India, their age, schooling, what work they do, and so on. We use this information to measure many things like the number of literate people and the ratio of men and women. According to the 1961 census, about 40% of all boys and men 7 years old and above were literate, that is, they could at least write their names, compared to just 15% of all girls and women. In the most recent census of 2011, these figures have grown to 82% for boys and men and 65% for girls and women. This means that the proportion of both men and women who are now able to read and have at least some amount of schooling has increased. But as you can also see, the percentage of the male group is still higher than the female group. The gap has not gone away. Here is the table that shows the percentage of girls and boys who leave schools from different social groups, including secluded caste SC and scheduled caste SC and scheduled tribe ST. तो इस टेबल में दिया है एवरेज एनुअल ड्रॉप आउट रेट इन स्कूल एजुकेशन 2014-15 इन परसेंटेज. तो ये आप देख सकते हैं. You have probably noticed in the above table that the SC and ST girls leave school and at a rate that is higher than the category all girls. This means that girls who are from Dalit, SC and Adivasi ST backgrounds are less likely to remain in school. The 2011 census also found that Muslim girls are less likely than SC and ST girls to complete primary schools. While a Muslim girl is likely to stay in school for around 3 years, girls from other communities spend around 4 years in school. There are several reasons why children from Dalit, Adivasi and Muslim communities leave school. In many parts of the country, especially in rural and poor areas, there may not even be proper schools nor teachers who teach on a regular basis. If a school is not close to people's homes and there is no transport like buses or vans, parents may not be willing to send their girls to school. Many families are too poor and unable to bear the cost of educating all their children. Boys may get preference in this situation. Many children also leave school because they are discriminated against by their teacher and classmates, just like Om Prakash Valmiki was. Women's movement. Women and girls now have the right to study and go to school. There are other spheres like legal reform, violence, and health, where the situation of women and girls has improved. These changes have not happened automatically. Women individually and collectively have struggled to bring about these changes. The struggle is known as the women's movement. Individual women and women's organizations from different parts of the country are part of the movement. Many men support the women's movement as well. The diversity, passion, and efforts of those involved makes it a very vibrant movement. Different strategies have been used to spread awareness, fight discrimination, and seek justice. Here are some glimpses of this struggle. Campaigning. Campaigns to fight discrimination and violence against women are an important part of the women's movement. Campaigns have also led to new laws being passed. A law was made in 2006 to give women who face physical and mental violence within their homes, also called domestic violence, some legal protection. Similarly, efforts made by the women's movement led the Supreme Court to formulate guidelines in 1997 to protect women against sexual harassment at the workplace and within educational institutions. In the 1980s, for example, women's groups across the country spoke out against dowry deaths, cases of young brides being murdered by their in-laws or husbands. Greedy for more dowry, women's groups spoke out against the failure to bring these cases to justice. They did so by coming onto the streets, approaching the courts, and by sharing information. Eventually, this became a public issue in the newspapers and society, and the dowry laws were changed to punish families who seek dowry. Satyarani, an active member of women's movement, sitting on the steps of the Supreme Court, surrounded by legal files, gathered during the course of a long legal battle to seek justice for her daughter who was murdered for dowry. Raising awareness. An important part of the women's movement's work is to raise public awareness on women's issues rights issues. Their message has been spread through street plays, songs, and public meetings. Protesting. The women's movement raises its voice when violations against women take place, or, for example, when a law or policy acts against their interest. Public rallies and demonstrations are a very powerful way of drawing attention to injustices. Showing solidarity. The women's movement is also about showing solidarity with other women and causes. Below, on 8 March, International Women's Day, women all over the world came together to celebrate and renew their struggle. Above, women are holding candles to demonstrate the solidarity between the people of India and Pakistan. Every year on 14 August, several thousand people gather at Wagah on the border of India and Pakistan and hold a cultural program. तो ये है इस चैप्टर का एक्सरसाइज और ये है ग्लॉसरी। तो इसी के साथ हमारा आज का चैप्टर ख़त्म होता है। तो आज की वीडियो में हमने चैप्टर 4 और चैप्टर 5 देखा है। तो अगर आप चैनल पर नए हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और नोटिफिकेशन आइकन पर क्लिक कर दीजिए ताकि आपको सारे वीडियोस के अपडेट्स मिल सके। और आप चैनल पे जाके इससे पहले के चैप्टर्स भी देख सकते हैं। अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो लाइक कर दीजिए और अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कीजिए ताकि उन्हें भी हेल्प हो सके। तो हमारा आज का वीडियो यहीं तक था। तो नेक्स्ट क्लास में हम शुरू करेंगे यूनिट 4। तो आज के लिए इतना ही। थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग, थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग।